Hi, Tobias. How are you doing? We finally get the pleasure to meet.
Hi, Fernando. Yes, nice to see you in real life, almost real.
Exactly. As real as,
Yeah.
as it can get nowadays, right?
Yes, over the internet.
Yeah, exactly. So thank you for your time. I thought that we can have this conversation. We can keep it informal, of course. The idea is to share with my viewers and in the tech blog in IT Central Point and the onlinecorner.com about you, about your product. Because honestly, I think your product that is called Syncovery is fantastic. But I will let you introduce the product, and we can go through some questions that I have noted, and maybe more people can benefit of knowing more about Syncovery and what you do and what motivated to create Syncovery. Is that okay for
Hmm.
you?
Yes, great. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So tell me a little bit
Okay.
about you and what is Syncovery, how it was born, how did you got this idea?
Yeah. Yeah. So I am Tobias Giesen. That's how it's pronounced in German. I guess English speakers will probably say Tobias, something like that. And I am the author of Syncovery. And the original idea came 20 years ago when my brother needed a backup tool, and I also had requirements to synchronize files in special ways, mostly my source code files between different machines like laptop and desktop machine, also to back up online. And yeah, because of the special ideas and special wishes that I had for synchronization software, I decided to write my own software. I'm not completely sure if I looked enough because, of course, I believe there must have been other software 20 years ago too, but uh, at least I didn't find it or didn't see it, so I decided to write my own. Yeah. There were some special ideas in the beginning which are no longer really important, but they were just ideas to get started. For example, one important thing is I needed a backup tool to back up databases. So it had to be like database safe. It had to be able to make a copy of a database without corrupting it, without getting incomplete copies. And well, there are several ways to do that. And that was one of the incentives and synchronizing my source codes between different machines.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I noticed that that is one of the key focuses of your software, right? That allows the block copy, right? To allow the whole thing to be copied, even if it is open, right? In a safe way, right?
Yes, yes. And the main method on Windows at least is to use volume shadowing, where Windows creates a snapshot, a volume snapshot of the drive, and this snapshot can be copied, and you can take your time because the snapshot doesn't change. The real machine can continue to work and change files, but you have a snapshot of the file system which is fixed, and so the backup copy can be made, and it
Exactly.
can act at a time. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
that's a
super
good
safe.
feature.
Yeah, excellent,
Yeah,
excellent. And you, so you've been a software developer for how long?
forever.
Forever.
I was born with software. Yeah, no, seriously, I started when I was 13, so that must have been around 1984. Um, yeah, I started on the Apple IIe back then, and then got my own mini computers, like personal home computers, and then my father needed software in his company, which I wrote when I was around 15 or 16.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And then later on, I started writing plugins for Finale, the music notation software.
Yeah.
So that is my other main product, the TG Tools plugins for Finale. Um, which I developed mainly between 1988 and 2003, I would say. And since then, my main focus was really this file sync and backup software.
So this is your main
TD tools are
focus.
still updated occasionally and also sold. Yeah.
So nowadays is your main focus. I mean, Syncovery is your main. You live from this.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yes. Just that, and I don't have time for anything new or any other projects really.
Are you the only developer, or you work with a group of people?
Currently, yes. A few years ago, I had an external developer who did the cloud stuff for me mainly, because around, when was that? I think around 7-8 years ago, we started supporting more and more clouds. Initially, there was only, well, in the first version, there was no internet protocol at all. And then customers started asking for FTP. So I added FTP. And then I think SFTP, which is based on SSH. And then WebDev came along, and then finally the first real cloud protocol was Amazon S3.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was pretty much the only one for a few years. And then I added Microsoft Azure. But then later on, the modern cloud protocols came, the API like Google Drive, stuff like that. And I think the first one was actually Amazon Drive, which no longer exists, really. Or they are finishing it this year. But they threw out all the third-party apps a few years ago. They didn't even notify me, but in any case, Amazon Drive was one of the first. But I learned a lot developing for that API. Well, it wasn't a bad API, but it really no longer exists. Yeah, and then all the other ones, Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. So I had a developer who was actually based in Russia, who did the cloud stuff, and he also wrote the web-based GUI, which Syncovery now has, which is needed for the Linux version. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. And tell me that your software now it's called Syncovery, but in the past it was called Superflexible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So why did you change the name? Was any particular reason?
Yes, of course. The initial name was Superflexible File Synchronizer, but for one, I was not able to register that as a trademark because it's not a name. It's just a description.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like my name is not Tall Guy or Super Flexible Guy. My name is Tobias. Okay?
Exactly.
So that's a name, but Super Flexible File Synchronizer is not a name. So I had to find a name.
So you didn't register it yet?
No, I didn't try it actually. But I made a contest online for a new name, a little contest, and there are sites for that. Logo contest sites, naming contest sites. So, and one of the suggestions was Syncovery, and I really liked it. So, and of course, it's made from sync and recovery, and it pretty much describes what the software does.
And it goes also back to the roots, right, of what your brother was needing 20 years ago, right?
Yes.
So that's really cool. Yeah. Yes. So I know your software quite well, probably not into all the dimensions that can reach, but what would you say are the key differentiator factors of Syncovery compared to the marketplace today? Well, what excels? What are the functionalities that you think are exceptional?
Yeah, well, I'm a developer who's not afraid of adding hundreds of check marks and options, which is probably not the best GUI design. But when a customer asks me for a special feature, most of the time I say, okay, let's add it. So there's another check mark here and there. And so I think Syncovery is probably the sync and backup software with the most different options and features. It's very flexible, and of course, at one day it became too much, and then I added the Pascal script language, which allows to add even more features for specific customers, which really cannot be added to the GUI because it doesn't make sense. Because customers have so different requirements, very, very special requirements for their workflows, and I've written dozens of Pascal scripts in the past 3 years for different customers, just to, which enables me to keep the GUI a bit cleaner than it would be if I added all these features to the GUI, really. Okay, so it's very flexible. It also has a great speed in many cases. I've heard that in many cases it's faster than most other tools, because it uses threading intensively. Of course, you can configure it. You can tell the program to use more threads or less threads depending on how much CPU you want to give it. Yeah, and what was the other thing? Yeah, I just listened to customer requests, really. I've implemented so many, probably hundreds of ideas from customers over the years. So this is really a unique tool which has many features. For example, the remote service thing, because customers said it takes too long to build the file list, because that's one of the ways Syncovery works. At first, when it does a full sync, it builds the file list first, so it has the full list of all the folders in memory, so it can see if a file has been moved from A to B. But building that file list sometimes takes some time, obviously. So I've implemented many ways to make that faster. And one is the remote service, which is installed on the remote side if you sync over a network or even the internet. And this service generates the listing faster.
So it's crawled locally and then it's transmitted as a package.
Yes.
And this is the file list that you have to trigger.
Yes, that's just one of the special features, really, that most other software probably doesn't have.
Yeah, I must say that I think the Superflexible previous name should be part of the tagline of Syncovery, right? Because
I think I have something that still reminds of it on the homepage. Yeah, it says Syncovery will copy your files your way. That's my new headline. And then the super versatile sync, copy, move, and backup tool. So so Superflexible is still somehow there. It's
somehow there.
Yeah.
And I think it's really appreciated by the community, the fact that you are very responsive in regards of improvements, right? So every person or every company that asks you for adding a new functionality is an improvement to your product, and that you can be very, very responsive to it because you're dedicated to this, right? So that's really appreciated by everyone.
Yes, and it's still possible. The number of customers still makes it possible for me to reply to each request and to implement most requests.
How many people use Syncovery?
I don't know, but I can still manage. And if this went completely viral and there were millions of customers, I would probably not be able to do this kind of support. And I also can't really. I have tried having another person help me and reply to support requests, but in the end, every email we get is so special and individual, and in the end, it's always me who has to do the work and reply. So I'm somehow not able to get help, really.
It's difficult to delegate also, right? When you have been involved in so many aspects of the product.
Yes, and I don't need to grow my company or so. I am completely satisfied with the amount of customers and sales, and I don't have to grow this it's totally okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Really cool. Is this the remote listing of files one of the most functionalities that make you more proud of the product, or other aspects are?
Yes. This is one of the best ideas I had, I think, although it was absolutely necessary. And there are other things too. I mentioned the Pascal script, which makes it possible to fine tune Syncovery and to add different features. For example, many customers, well, not many, but a few customers have a requirement to rename the file when it's, for example, uploaded as part of a business process. They say, okay, I have to upload this file or download this file, but it has to have a different name at the destination. So there's a function, there is a Pascal script hook, which you can implement to rename files and to write your own code depending on your requirement, because of course these customers have different names that they need. Sometimes it's a fixed name, or sometimes the name has to be somehow generated from the source name, or it's related to the current date and time. All kinds of different requirements. So those can be implemented. And then I have always been struggling with SFTP speed. Because customers always said, well, FileZilla is faster with the upload rate when you use SSH, SFTP. And then I was just not able to get the speed out of the SFTP library that I was using. So a few years ago, I finally made a DLL from the PSFTP tool from PuTTY. You know PuTTY, the terminal, mostly known as an SSH terminal. But it's more than that. The PuTTY suite contains a few more command line tools, and one of them is PSFTP, which is an SFTP client.
Okay.
But this client is very hard to integrate into other software. FileZilla did it by modifying the client and somehow remote controlling it, but still running it as a separate process, I think. But that's not what I wanted. I wanted a real DLL, which I can perfectly call from my code.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, and I looked at the code, and the C code from PuTTY is very complicated, but I didn't have to understand everything of it. I was able to find the spots that I needed to modify, and I made an open source DLL from PuTTY, so that we can now enjoy extremely high transfer rates for SFTP. For some reason, only PuTTY can achieve these rates. I have not found any other SSH software or library that can reach really high transfer rates with SFTP.
Well, but now you can leverage those speeds, right?
Something.
Now you can leverage those speeds.
Yes, because customers want that.
Yeah.
They simply want it. So.
And from all the protocols here, I'm a little bit escaping my or capping my technical knowledge, right? But for the audience that might be watching this, which are the most trusted protocols? Because I saw that you have WebDAV, you have SFTP, you have a lot of ways of synchronizing files. What is your preferred one? The SFTP one, or from an encryption, from a security, from a speed, from a reliability perspective?
They are all so different, really. The SFTP is quite secure, but the problem is it does not have a trusted certificate store like the internet has. For example, when you open a web page, the browser can determine if the certificate from the server can be trusted.
Yeah.
Because there is a chain of trust with TLS certificates, and this is something that the SFTP protocol does not have. All you get is a server fingerprint, and then theoretically you should look up the fingerprint and determine if it's the correct one or if there is a man in the middle attack. But nobody does that really.
Yeah.
You just click OK. And well, I haven't heard of any such man in the middle attacks actually happening, but theoretically, I think it would be possible. But other than that, I like SFTP very much. And I'm not actually a security expert really. So yeah, well, I like SFTP very much, but technically, I think the HTTPS cloud protocols are better.
So WebDAV in the end.
Yeah, I'm speaking more of the proprietary protocols like Amazon S3 and Google Drive, Dropbox, Box. All these clouds have their own proprietary protocols, but they are all based on HTTPS because that's the protocol that everybody trusts. The TLS certificates, that's the common trust that we have really.
And I've noticed that you have versions also for Synology, for Linux, for Windows, for Mac. You're covering all the spectrum, right?
Yeah. I really enjoy working with different platforms, and the first one was really the Mac version, which I made, I think, around 15 years ago. First, I thought it would not be possible because my programming language, Delphi, did not support Mac back then. But then I learned about the Free Pascal, the open source, let's say, clone of Delphi. Somehow it's not really a clone. But it's similar, and it was possible to make a cross-platform. To support cross-platform with Syncovery, really. It was a lot of work, obviously, and the source code had to be adapted, but it was at least it was doable. Yeah.
That's really nice. Is there any story that a customer has shared with you on how Syncovery has helped them in amazing ways, or restored files, or saved them from a catastrophe? Some shared stories that.
Yes, of course. Yes. I frequently hear that Syncovery has saved their lives and so on, because of the backup. And well, of course, I think another backup tool could also have saved their lives. It's not like only Syncovery can save your life. There are obviously other ways, but it's nice to hear, of course. And then I had contact with the film industry in Los Angeles, actually, and they used Syncovery to synchronize and backup these huge files from actual movies, like
really?
Netflix movies and other stuff. Yes, and I also worked with them to make it possible to actually transfer such huge amounts of data over the internet. That was exciting.
I can imagine.
Yes.
That's huge amount of terabytes, eh?
Yeah. And that was exciting, and there were many special requirements from customers, and it was interesting to implement them.
That's really nice. And how do you envision the future of Syncovery and any features that you would like to share with the audience that you're working on, or that is something the most requested, but maybe it's complex and you're working on it?
Okay. Well, I released Syncovery 10 around 1 year ago, I think. A little more than 1 year. And then after such a major release, I usually enter a phase of just bug fixing and implementing little requests. So right now I am in a phase still where I am doing small stuff, really. The biggest thing I did really was adding support for Citrix Sharefile a month ago. But most of the updates I'm making now are really small. And of course, there will be a Syncovery 11 one day. I'm not totally sure if it will be next year or in 2 years, but it will be there, obviously. and the new features are not completely clear yet. But eventually, I will want to revise the GUI substantially, and somehow find a way to present all these many options, but in a clearer way, or to be able to add more description immediately in the software,
Like with
rather
tooltips or
than
something like
having
that.
to click F1 and read the help file. Yeah, I want to make it easier for some people to find the right options. That's one of the things. But in the end, I'm not really a great visionist, or I don't have visions really. I work
Very
on
pragmatic.
tasks. I work on requirements. Customers tell me what they need, and then I see how to do it. So yeah, I just try to keep Syncovery working great, and fix things here, listen to customers, listen what they need. Yeah, stuff like that.
Have you considered? I don't know if you have it. I haven't checked in your website recently, but have you think on this idea, the user voice concept? So basically, people suggest things to add in the roadmap, and then they vote up or down based on their interest of things that they would like to see, and then you can prioritize what to work on next. Have you considered that?
Not really, but it's an interesting idea. I might do it actually. Yeah, probably good. Yeah. So far, I'm just deciding on my own. But yeah, maybe I should do that.
No, but it's a very mature product. It's really good, and and we encourage everyone to go to syncovery.com, right? Well, do you want to share the licensing model, or a little bit what is that behind?
Yeah, well, as you probably heard, it's actually a commercial product, so it's not open source and it's not free, unfortunately. But there are different pricings for private users and business or professional users. So I think the prices are still fair enough for private users and even for business users. Most companies tell me it's too cheap. Really, it's much cheaper than some other enterprise scale solutions. So
Yeah.
I hope the pricing is fair for almost everyone. I know that not every private person can necessarily pay that, but I hope it's fair, and I try to keep prices reasonable. And there are different licenses, like standard, professional, premium. So depending on the features that you need, you can actually get away fairly reasonable price.
Yeah, that's really cool. And in the amount of from all your customers, how many are businesses and how many are persons, more or less? There are many businesses using your product?
Yes. I think more businesses than private persons. But there are lots of private users also. They just back up their computers to an external hard drive or to a cloud service, or they synchronize their photo libraries or stuff like that.
Yeah, this is really cool. Hey, Tobias, thank you very much. Anything else you would like to share with the audience?
I'm just happy to have been invited to this interview. So thanks very much, Fernando. And yeah, I think I need to make more videos myself too. I have a video on YouTube, just one. I need to make more videos. Well, I think it's fun actually, but
yeah, we're gonna publish this one, and I'm sure people will appreciate the fact to know more about Syncovery. Great. Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks also. Thanks to you.